Damos ahora la bienvenida a Nicholas Webb.
Apple is an expert at one thing, and one thing only. They're experts at delivering amazing experiences at each and every touch point. When was the last time you mapped your customer's experience with you? What's the first touch like? What happens when you have them within your control and you're in your cloud? What do you leave them with? What was that experience like? Think about it for a minute. You know, when you go into an Apple store, let's talk about what you don't see. The Apple store is littered with cash registers. They're invisible. They're hidden. They're hidden drawers. Because they don't want to create a carnival stand. That's not why you're there. You're there to experience an interface that takes the uber complexity of a supercomputer and melts it down to a delicious, fun experience that's driven by icons and symbiology. That's what they want to teach you. Oh, do they hire salespeople? Of course not. Why would you hire salespeople? Everybody hates salespeople. So what they do is they hire disciples of the religious order of Apple, right? Have you ever talked to these guys? It's like they're scary sometimes, right? But they're not selling you anything. They just love the stuff so much. Now let me ask you a question. How many of you have an Apple product? Now be honest with me. How many of you still have the box? Yeah. Right. Think about that for a minute. Now a lot of people may not even realize this. As an inventor, I channel Steve Jobs all the time. A good friend of mine, and I suggest it strongly, wrote a great book called What Would Steve Jobs Do? Peter Sanders. And the one thing I learned about him is that everything, the secret is this: amazing experiences that are layered, meaning a lot better than you thought you were going to get. Dynamic, meaning they actually get better. Every day they get better. Your iPod, your iPhone, your iPad, your anything is a lot better today than it was yesterday because there's a gazillion people out there producing another app to make you and your life better, right? That's incredible. So what can we do? How can we apply contact point innovation in our business? How can we map that experience and deliver layered and dynamic experiences at each touch point?
So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Nick Webb. Thank you.
I've been married to the same fabulous woman for 22 years. And it occurred to me early on in my life that I needed to be a chief listening officer. And I needed to be an active observer and an active listener. In order for me to be good as a husband and as a father, I needed to be lucid. I needed to live consciously. And I didn't know that at first. And so my wife would say stuff to me like, the trash is full. And I would think, totally. And so, right? So like the next day, I'm out looking for bigger trash cans. Duh. Who doesn't know that, right? So I'm out here busily trying to find bigger trash cans. I'm thinking, boy, maybe we should start recycling, right? My wife is saying, empty the trash. When she says it's hot, turn on the air conditioner. When it's cold, turn on the heater. You know, but you have to make a commitment to finding the insight within the insight. Now when I tell my son that the trash is full, he goes, totally. He's not there yet. Now the problem is that most people don't really put together a plan. And maybe you don't need a customer service plan. Maybe you really don't need it, because these guys know what they need to do. I mean, they've got a truck, and the truck needs to go back on its wheel. Why do you need a plan to do that? I mean, anybody knows that you get it together, you put it on its wheels, and everything's going to be fine. Ish. Yeah. So it helps to have... It's really helpful to see the trajectory of where this ultimately goes, right? By having a plan where everybody works together to be able to make that happen. It's about how can we create layered and dynamic value that makes people really love us. I know love isn't a word we use a lot in business and innovation, but this is an emotive thing. That's why the new insights aren't talking about thought. We don't talk about what customers say. We know voice of the customer and CRM methods have failed. Turns out it's about the passion.
But the other good news is they also provide the highest quality of work life. And in the examples I'm going to give you today, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples outside the digital realm. I think you'll see that it's a cool place to work, it's fun, you're doing interesting things, employees aren't going to work, going to battle, and you're scaling and growing your business. Now, conversely, organizations that don't scale their ability to gain insights about what customers really, really want and transmute those learnings into better innovations in terms of how they deliver care to those customers, those companies fail. And if you take a look at the corporate life cycles, you see that oftentimes we move from a customer-centric organization. What's the first thing that happens? Then we move into operationalization. Then we move into phase 2, hyper-operationalization, where everything is about infrastructure, delivery, distribution, channel, risk management. Oh yeah, risk management and risk management. Snap-on Tools is an interesting company, and the reason I decided to research them is that I was raised in San Bernardino, California, which I believe now has a distinction of being, I think, the second most dangerous city in America, right? And my dad was a refrigeration mechanic. And my mom worked at the LA Times, and we were poor. And I can remember my dad would save all of his money to buy a piece of Snap-on Tools. Because Snap-on Tools were experts, not at tools, but they were experts about people who use tools. And they knew that the people that use those tools had to use them in such a way that they could actually make a profit. They had to work quickly. They had to have good ergonomics. They had to be reliable. And they understood that. And I'll never forget, my dad had a dresser, and he lined one dresser drawer in blue felt. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. He had come home, his hands were literally cracked, and the grease in his hands were permanently installed into his fingertips. And he would take out this rag, and he would wipe them for, it seemed like forever. And it was almost like a samurai swordsman. He would judiciously place them perfectly in the felt-lined drawer. What is it like to develop stuff as an innovator and as an inventor? I want to invent stuff, and I want to deliver products and services that are so amazing that people like Tommy Lee Webb wants to make a special drawer and have a daily ceremony for this special tool. I think that's incredible. That's what I mean when I say it's worth it. It's worth it to the enterprise. It's worth it to all of us that work in the enterprises to be able to have fun. And it's definitely worth it as we build those fan bases.